Welcome to the Dogs Are the Best Friends podcast. I'm Emily, and my best buddy, Flynn, is here too. Hey, my crazy for the canine people. Today we have Stefanie with us, and she talks a little bit about her dog Romeo, goes on to share with us some excellent information from her experience as a person working in rescue. I don't know about you, but I realized I didn't know much about it. Maybe you or a friend of yours might need this information sooner than you know. So have a listen. Should you have any questions of Stefanie about rescue, you can reach her on Instagram. Her name is Stefanie Hadley. Stefanie is spelled with a F instead of a PH, and Hadley is Hadley. Next week will be episode 10, and I have a very special episode that I'm working on for you. I realized you don't really know much about me or my dogs and why I'm such a crazy dog person. So I realized I probably should talk about that. I'll be sharing about my sweet babies, my 3 dogs as an adult next week. Stefanie, thank you so much for being here today. I am so glad that you're here. You have some great things to share with us. First of all, I want to know about your dog and how old he is and what he looks like and how you met him, how he came into your life.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm super happy to be here and chat with you. So my
Thanks.
dog's name is Romeo. He is a 9-year-old Australian Labradoodle, and our story with him is actually kind of unique, I would say. I got him when I was about 20 years old, and I was a sophomore in college, and I met a girl who was training a service dog. And at the time I was, pre-vet major, and I was in school for animal science, and I wanted to get involved in that. So I became the third person in this new sort of group on campus to get a service dog to train. And I was supposed to train him for about 1.5 to 2 years, and then he would move on to advanced training and be partnered with someone, and be of service to them. But yeah, it's a very long and kind of complicated story, but I ended up keeping him, and, I've had him ever since. But I think it turned out pretty well because I was able to, focus on training him without thinking that I was going to keep him for a long time. By the time I knew he was mine, I had laid a great foundation, which has been helpful. He's the best. He has also just a really, really sweet, laid back temperament. He's really friendly with people. He likes other dogs, but I think he likes people a little bit more. And, he's just, I don't know. I think dogs are such a great conversation starter too. Like, he helped me just meet people and make friends kind of everywhere I go. And he's been like the best sidekick.
Is there anything else you want to share about him?
Let me think. I mean, one thing I think is important to know is, like, even though I spent so much time training him as a puppy and consistently for, year, 2 years and onward, I still am training him every day. I'm still working with him every day, especially his leash manners. He is very opportunistic, and he loves to try and eat all kinds of street trash and beach trash, and he gets like particular with other dogs invading his space a little bit, which is a fair thing for him to care about. Right. But yeah, I think a lot of people get dogs and don't quite understand the importance of putting in the work at the beginning and then just maintaining that as well throughout their life. It's so rewarding and it's so worth it if you can do that, but it is kind of an ongoing job, just like raising a kid.
That is the truth. If you want a well-behaved dog, you have to reinforce those things. They don't magically remember them for 10 years. So I do the same thing with Flynn. I let him off leash on a dead-end road, away from any scary traffic or anything, of course. But, we go over recall and sit and down and everything every day. Yeah. Every morning we do that for sure.
Yeah. So dogs are opportunistic, and they're always looking to see what they can get away with. And same with me. I take him to the beach, and I have these little stasher bags that I fill with treats, and I take them every single time we go, and we practice.
I agree completely. I'm so glad you brought that point up. It's an excellent point that people need to know about. Dogs they're high maintenance. Mm-hmm. We believe they're totally worth it. Oh, so it's a good thing.
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you're here to talk about rescue. So, how would I find a good rescue organization?
Funny that you should bring that up because I was just researching rescues and shelters in like Traverse City, Michigan the other day because some of my family lives there, and I was just curious about, what their setup is.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm in LA and there are a lot of rescues here, and I think I can only really like speak to that experience, but I assume it's pretty similar elsewhere.
Sure.
So here there are county and city shelters, and if you do a quick Google search, you can find like a list of, any of those. And those are the shelters where the dogs are turned in and you can go and meet them there, but it's a little bit more of a chaotic environment.
Right.
Rescues, I would just Google, rescues by the city or by the county as well. But I've also really loved Instagram as a source. I will like Google or I mean search for, a Los Angeles rescue there and one pops up and then, when you follow that one, it gives you other suggested ones in the area.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's been super helpful. And then you can see all of the dogs that they have available and kind of learn a little bit about how they work specifically. And
Right.
I don't know, you can use like Yelp and Google reviews to some degree. I follow those, but I also think that this is such an emotional business that if somebody has some sort of experience, whether positive or negative, it's going to be really like extra charged in their review. If that makes sense. So
very true. Very
I
true.
don't totally take those at face value, but you can kind of get an overall sense by reading comments and reviews.
How would it work when you rescue a dog? Do they support you at all, or are you on your own? Or
so if you rescue or adopt from a shelter, you don't really get any follow-up support and you're on your own for a lot. I mean, the benefit is that you can get a dog for a pretty affordable price, but you don't necessarily know very much about their behavior or their background, or, sometimes you get surprise medical issues and things like that. And the shelter just, most of the time, they're pretty overstaffed understaffed, and
Sure.
just aren't able to provide, a ton of additional resources. With the rescue that I worked at, I kind of prided myself on making really good relationships and friendships with my adopters and being their support as much as they needed for as long as they needed. So they all had my cell phone number for a long
wow,
time.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and I would just try
Yeah.
and provide them with resources. I mean, anything from training to product recommendations, food, local vets, groomers, how to introduce dogs, how to acclimate the dog to your home, just kind of like whatever they had questions about.
That's a great idea. How do you find the right dog? If you go to one of these places that, yeah, like you said, they're often understaffed, what kind of wisdom can you share with us or steps to take? How do you analyze the dog, if you will, and try to keep your emotions in check?
So if somebody were going to a county or city shelter, the way that we would usually evaluate the dogs is kind of walk up and down the kennels. We would just see how they were behaving in their kennel. We would kind of temperament test them, little things like we would blow on them through the gate and see how they responded. And then we would always ask the shelter for behavior notes. So any dog that is at a county shelter in LA that's over 35 pounds, they'll put them in play group with other dogs at the shelter so you can get notes on how they interacted with each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would get playgroup notes, and then we would ask for medical and then their intake score. So that just means like their handling score when they were first admitted to the shelter, if they were friendly, if they were tense, if they tried to bite, if they, were scared, whatever it might be. And just kind of take all of those things collectively and make a decision about whether or not to pull the dog. And then at the shelter or at the rescue, when adopters would come in looking to meet dogs, we had an application that they would fill out that just asked a lot of questions about their lifestyle. And then we would have a little interview that was maybe 10 minutes where we would just go over their application and go over all their answers to the questions and help determine what type of dog they think they were looking for and what might be like a good match for them.
Sure. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things to consider. I think obviously your work schedule is a big one, how long you're gone from the day or gone from the
Yeah, huge.
We would have a lot of people that wanted puppies, but they were gone 8 hours a day, and they might be home for like a quick, 20-minute lunch break, and then they were out for an 8-hour period. And I would always advise getting like a dog that was maybe a year or older, just because the puppy is missing out on tons of learning experiences if somebody's gone for almost the entire day.
Yes, that's huge. That's a great point, because that first year or so is so crucial. But if they're a year old, they already, they're able to hold their bathroom, and you still can teach them so much. They're so puppyish at a year. My goodness.
Yeah.
2 years, a lot of dogs can be puppyish.
Yeah. And I just think that it's more beneficial for the dog if they're a little bit older, if you're going to be gone for that long, because they're just kind of sitting there by themselves otherwise at home.
Yes.
I think a big one too is the energy level of the dog and how active you are currently, because there would be a lot of people that wanted to get a dog to make them more active. But I always would say, get a dog that's like similar activity level as you, or maybe slightly less. Because if you get a dog that is, maybe a collie or an Australian Shepherd or a Weimaraner, and you don't spend very much time outdoors as is, either you're going to have to start running marathons, or the dog is going to become like destructive and bored and have all this pent up energy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, yeah, energy was a big one for sure. And then, obviously size, apartment restrictions, landlord restrictions. If the family already had another dog, we would ask them to bring their dog in so we could introduce any dog that they were considering adopting and see how they got along together.
Yes, that's huge. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I always said if you have a dog already, that dog makes the decision about who the next one is going to be.
Now, do rescues always put the dogs out like into foster homes?
It depends on the rescue. A lot of rescues don't have a brick and mortar. So if they don't have a brick and mortar, then most of their dogs will be placed in foster homes.
If somebody rescues a dog, how do they make sure that they are being the best dog parent?
I think that when you bring a dog home, the best thing you can do for them is give them some structure and give them some boundaries. Dogs do really well when they know what's expected of them. And I think a mistake that a lot of adopters make is feeling sorry for the dog because they've been in a shelter and they've had a, unfortunate circumstances before that, and they feel sorry for them and kind of don't give them any rules and let them make their own choices. But really the best thing that you can do for the dog is give them some guidance and take it slow. Let them settle in for the first, I say a couple months, honestly, minimum of 1 month. Okay. Before you're taking them to brunch and you're taking them to the dog park and you're taking them to your family's house and all of those things.
Yes.
It's, you have to remember that they don't know you yet. They don't have a relationship with you. Even if they're super sweet and they are affectionate towards you, that doesn't mean they trust and respect you yet. And those are the things that are really important. And that's how you avoid behavior issues, because you have to get the dog to know that you're the leader and you're the one that they should look to for guidance. So, yeah, I recommend crate training for sure. When you bring a new dog home, I think it gives them a safe place to be, whether you're home or not. You can kind of give them just that boundary. Definitely taking it slow with introductions to other dogs, and then just start training right away. Start teaching them all of the basics, start teaching them to follow you, work on your recall. All of those things, just do it really slowly, and then you can kind of build from there. But a lot of people that had problems would take the dog on a hike, immediately after adopting, and the dog maybe gets into it with another dog and they don't know that you're the one that's going to jump in and protect them. So I think it's important to give them the space and time to acclimate properly and get to know them and kind of go from there.
I am so glad you hit on those topics, because I know some people, they brought the dogs home, like you said, and they just let them do whatever they want to do. And that's just asking for trouble, in my opinion. They need to know who's the boss, and that's a privilege for them to go into the kitchen or go into the living room or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the boundaries is huge. They need to know who's boss, and that it's, you have to earn it, pal. I love you, but you have to earn it, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I always say, don't let your dog sleep in the bed with you at the beginning. Don't let them up on the furniture. Don't let them have just free run of the house. When I bring a foster dog home, I keep the leash on them, or I'll keep a tabby, which is just the shorter version. for a while, honestly, so that I can follow through if I ask them to do a command that I know that they know. If I ask them to sit or lay down and they're kind of like, me, I don't want to. I can follow through if I have a leash on them. I practice crate training with them all day long. And then they have to earn it. Once their behavior, proves that they know what's expected of them, then I can start inviting them up on the couch and things like that.
Is there anything else that you can offer us that we really need to know, or that would be helpful to know to make an experience of rescuing a dog just go as well as it can? Because you've given us so much already, but I just thought I'll ask you just in case we forgot something.
Yeah. I mean, I think just do your research, know what you're committing to, know that this is a family member that you're taking on for probably many years to come, hopefully. And the responsibility. And I think it's so fun and it's so rewarding. I would just say research about your lifestyle and what kind of dog might be the best fit for you, not just which one is cutest. And have a training program in place that you're interested in doing and know how you're going to kind of structure that. I think that's more important than all the tools. Everybody thinks they need to go buy, boatloads of toys and treats and all of this stuff. That is less important to me. Dogs really just need, when you bring them home, I would say a proper leash and collar. And there are different types of tools for different, dogs and different behavior issues that you might be working with. So do your research on those as well. I do not I will just say this, I do not what are those flexi leashes? Get a fixed 6-foot leash on a 6-foot nylon leash right off the bat, then you're able to work on their training. If you put them on the long line, you don't have really any control.
No, you can't get to them quickly enough to reinforce the sit or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. I understand.
I think overall, just doing your research, having kind of a training plan in place, and just knowing that it's going to take time and be patient and, dedicated, and just lay the little bricks every day and you'll get there.
Right. I want to encourage people to contact you because you are so knowledgeable, and this is your joy. This is your love. This is what you're working on and figuring out how to help people. So Stefanie, I thank you so much for your time today and all the information you've given. This is such an important topic. There's so many dogs that need help in rescuing, and they can be excellent companions. Mm-hmm. And with your information that you just have given us, that really can happen now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Of course. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And this is the perfect time to adopt. Everyone's home and got a little bit more free time. So I think this is an awesome time.
I hope you learned a lot, and I am so grateful that you were here. Please pass on this information, and please share this podcast, because then we can help each other. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Next week, I will talk about Morgan, Maisie, and Flynn.